Good morning, Facebook family, and welcome to another edition of the 10,000. Today, it's all about Doug Hale because he's my teammate today. It's just you and I, Doug. Good morning.
It's it. Good morning. Good morning. How you doing?
Good. I hope they're not really bored just getting the two of us, but this is all you get today, folks.
They're going to have to write all the notes, man.
Yep.
It's going to be good.
So today is your broker support team, Doug Hale, Tracy Johnson. Kim is not feeling well today, so she's off, and Paul Brooks may join us, but he's obviously off busy, maybe deal doctoring or, cleaning his beard from his newly bearded face. So I don't know if you haven't seen the video from yesterday's company meeting announcing the Christmas party, look for it online. It's really good stuff.
Well, and if you weren't at the company meeting yesterday, boy, did you miss out, right? There was so much information. Our speaker, Sherry Johnson, she was so on point with a number of things that she talked about. So as a first, whether you're a first year agent, a second year agent, or you've been doing this for a long, long time, the takeaway, the things that you got out of that, my goodness, if you even just applied one thing to what you did in your daily life, again, good things.
Yeah, so, I agree. It was good stuff. It was good stuff.
Tracy, we do have some slides coming too. I mean, for people, is that what I'm
Yeah, I think Mary sent them out last night. So okay. It should be in your email for even people that weren't there, to be able to plug in, see those slides and kind of, and we may dive into those more as we have more time to dive into them as your broker support team as ways to encourage and get people engaged in systems of ways to work your sphere and know, like, who am I calling? Who am I following up with? How do I do that? And how do I build a business?
Absolutely. I sat with a table, and again, I had everybody. I had people. I had Deal Dr. Don next to me, and I had Nick Sparks across the table from me. And I couldn't help but watch Nick just soaking all this up as a first year guy. Yeah. That again, there was just so much that was the takeaway. So
well, good.
It was well done.
Good. Well, if some of you saw my post earlier this week in the Facebook classroom, I posted about HOAs. And I remembered when I was a new agent and wrote my first deal on a house that was in a neighborhood that's called a site condo, which is just another way for developers to develop subdivisions today. They have these rules called, association. There's a master deed and some bylaws. And what are those? And what kind of obligation do I have as the agent to help my client know what they're saying yes to? So if you saw that post, that kind of sparked Kim Anderson to say, you know what, I think we could spend a little more time on this one. So hence here we are today. So what do you do, Doug, when you run into HOAs with your clients?
Well, it's interesting. I said this to my wife last night as we were kind of walking through some of this. We've lived in a condominium, in a condo for going on 17 years, okay. Right? And again, in every one of those condos, there are bylaws, there are covenants, there's HOA, which stands for Homeowners Association. And this is a group of people that do, and we talk about rules, regulations, do's, don'ts, things you can, things you can't. It's really important for me as I'm working with a client to make sure that they have copies of those rules and regulations ahead of, in this case, ahead of even writing an offer. There's some associations that don't allow pets or certain kinds of pets or a certain breed of pets. And again, the more we can walk into that association, or as we're looking at things with their eyes wide open to be able to kind of look at the do's and the don'ts, that's an important piece. And again, that's where you as the agent, you've got an obligation. You've got that obligation to make sure that you bring out all the information for your buyer so they can make that intelligent buying decision. Yeah. Again, I love it because the associations that I've been a part of, they take good care of the association. They take good care of, in this case, the condos. So whether it's a single family dwelling, like you just talked about, Tracy, or a condo, again, these are boards that are put in place to write rules. And when I say rules, I don't want it to be things that the do's and don'ts so that people get very serious and think, man, I don't want to move there because of this. Yeah. But it's really there to protect the homeowners too, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. I'll tell my neighbors, like I live in an HOA and I'm not a condo, I'm a site condo, but I have an HOA. And it's a commonality within the community, right? So you don't have that one guy that's got that camper that's sitting in the driveway the whole winter that you have
Yeah.
to look at. So to me, it's a gift to everyone that we all just want to live in harmony with each other. You don't want to be irritated with anybody. And so I don't need to have to worry about my neighbor leaving the boat in the driveway because my bylaws say he can leave it there for 2 days. And after 2 days, he might get a little letter, So
Well, and it protects your investment too, like you just said,
absolutely.
so that somebody doesn't open an oil change business in your neighbor's garage. That's why that's in place. So
Yep.
for me, it's nice because in condo developments, there's a level of how that condominium development could look or should look.
Mhm.
And again, that's all a part of the bylaws and covenants. And again, it's there to protect you as you make a decision to say yes to that.
Yeah.
So,
You said one important thing that I heard you say, and this is not something I always do, and maybe it just depends on the client, but you said you oftentimes like to get a copy of that master deed and bylaws in advance of writing the offer. And I think there's something to that. And I think it would depend on the client. But as a listing agent, what I try to do oftentimes is get a copy of that master deed and bylaws. When I load my disclosures for my listing, I'll put a copy of the master deed and bylaws there if I have them. And then it helps a guy like you that comes through who's a pro, right? Wants his client to see these.
yeah, absolutely. Well, and again, so many people that list condos, again, that kind of goes without saying. If you pull them up in the MLS, you're going to see the additional documents. You'll see where all of that is placed there.
Yeah.
And again, it's an important piece as you go forward. I mean, no different than the finances of that development. We talk a little bit about a buy-in fee. I just moved to a condo in Spring Lake. There's a $500 buy-in fee. And of course, the question comes up, well, what's that money go for? And what happens with that? And again, as you spend time learning more about how healthy the development is, how their finances are, don't be afraid as a buyer's agent, if you're talking to a seller's agent, to ask them questions about how healthy is this development? Can I see a copy of the checkbook? Can I see some financials so that I know that my buyer's not going to walk into something that a year down the road, when a quote unquote special assessment comes up, because we don't have enough money in the budget to pay for a roof replacement. All of those things are very, very important. So again, when you're representing a buyer, ask those important questions. When you're listing properties, make sure that you provide as much documentation as you can.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. And, and we should dive in a little bit to the importance of the addendum, the condo addendum, for the reasons that you just said. So each of our associations usually have a condo addendum. In the condo addendum, it basically says, hey, we like your house. We like it so much that we want to write you an offer. But as part of our offer, we'd like to just see a few things, right? Because if we don't ask for a copy of the master deed and bylaws, if we don't ask for the financials, if we don't ask for a copy of the minutes from the 2021 association annual meeting, in that annual meeting minutes, it might say, hey, we're looking at roof replacements in the next 5 years. Well, guess what? The seller's not going to tell you that, right? But if you ask for a copy of those minutes, you'll have an opportunity to look at the health of sort of what's happening beyond even just what the budget says. But the budget's going to tell you a lot too. So do you use the condo addendum, Doug?
I do. Not as much as I should. And it's there for our protection. It's there to kind of keep me on point as I'm representing a buyer. What are those important things you need to ask for? So absolutely.
Yep. It gives the buyer an opportunity to, as I usually write it. So if my inspection period is 10 days, I'll say that the master deed and bylaws and the financials need to be reviewed within that same 10-day period. So I'm not asking for anything crazy, nothing beyond my normal inspection contingency. But, knowing that my clients have 2 German Shepherds that are big dogs, maybe the condo has a limit of 20-pound dogs. Maybe it's one dog. Maybe it's one dog and one cat. Maybe the breed's not allowed, So those are the important things that you're giving your client an out in case they didn't know those things going into writing that purchase agreement and getting an acceptance.
And it's interesting. We just had the condominium, and I'm just using the example of where I just moved. We've just started. So it's a brand new condominium association. We've had now our third meeting as of this last week. So it's a big deal. Of course, I'm on the board because I was one of the guys that moved in. Not that I wanted to be or not, but I am. But again, the conversation that came up with some new residents that just recently moved in the last 2 weeks, they didn't know a lot about the actual association. Was it formed? What was my $500 going towards? And so there was a lot of questions that came up at that board meeting that, quite frankly, whoever the buyer's agent was that was representing them in the sale, that was really their responsibility. And so they really let these folks down with not making sure that those information pieces were there. If there was questions, like you just said, about pets or about finances or about whatever, they just didn't even have the opportunity to ask those questions before they closed down the condo.
Right.
So
right.
really, really important that, again, we do our due diligence to both our buyer and seller. And again, that does keep us on point. The addendum is perfect. Trace.
Yeah, right. Because it points to exactly timelines, and it also makes them put in writing what the association fee is, right? Is it $250? Is it $500? What is it? And then there's just beyond the addendum, there's a wide range of association fees, right? Some of them are low. I mean, some of them include water and sewer. Some of them don't. Some of them are detached condos. So you cover everything for your house, but the fees cover the grounds. Some cover everything. Some have a pool, some don't. So you want to know what you're saying yes to.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah. And again, to your point, I remember as I first got started in real estate and reading all of those, what's included and what's not included. And again, you can't reiterate that enough to your buyer. You're paying $250 a month. Here's what's included. Here's what's not included. Because the tough conversations that come up with HOAs sometimes is, there's an item called homeowners insurance that I spend a lot of time talking to people about. When you move into a condo, you own from the drywall in. A lot of people don't know that.
Yeah.
So they go out and get their homeowner's quote for their insurance. And even sometimes the homeowner's guy doesn't know, or gal doesn't know what they're quoting. So again, all of those things that we can be asking questions up front are very important.
Yeah, because the last thing you want to find out is that your drywall is not included and you've just had a leak, because that's a bad time to find that out.
No question.
Yeah. So again, there's benefits of living in an HOA, and and then there's drawbacks, right? There's the good and the bad, and it just depends on the type of living you want to do. And for some people, HOAs aren't for them, but you want to make sure that you've given your clients all the information you possibly can to help them make an informed decision. And when you're buying in an HOA, it starts with those documents, because we're not going to tell them what's in them. We're going to say, this is what I know about them, but here's a copy for you to review. Maybe you'd like your attorney to review, because we don't play an attorney when we're real estate or in any other place in our life unless we hold that license. So make sure you give good advice.
Yeah, for sure. I was just going to say, no different than it is in a subdivision. So many new constructions that you'll see today, if you're writing on a brand new home, they're a part of an HOA. And people say, well, no, isn't that just for condominiums, or isn't that? No, they're for neighborhoods. And again, you said this very early on in this conversation too. This is a way that developers get information. They call them site condos. They still have bylaws and covenants, and it might be what, the quality of the construction, the size of the home to build, the entrances, who maintains the entrances to these communities. All found in the HOA.
Right, exactly. Right down to where you can put your house. There's usually a building envelope where the house can't be up here or back here. It needs to be in the sweet spot, which is designated in the master deed and bylaws from the developer.
So again, back to asking those great questions. That's important.
Exactly. So think of it. I think the main thing we want you to know is think of helping a client buy in an HOA, there is a contingency there. And it's your responsibility to help your clients understand that a contingency can be in play as long as there's an addendum attached to it. So their ability to review and get out of a contract because of an HOA needs to be tied to the addendum. Because, you know, you could get them a copy during the inspection contingency and then call the agent and say, oh yeah, well, say you didn't use the addendum. Now you call and say you want to get out of a contract because, oh, you didn't know there was an HOA. Well, technically that's not the reason you want to get out under an inspection contingency. You've pointed to something, another contingency that wasn't in play, right?
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
bottom line is, please use the condominium addendum. Make sure it outlines the fees, make sure it outlines a copy of the master deed and bylaws to be delivered to the buyer, and make sure you include that what kinds of documents would you like your client to have an opportunity to review. Financials is a big piece of it. And I also think a copy of the association minutes from the prior association meeting is also a good tool.
You know something, and not to interrupt, but that is exactly what I forgot to do this last time. And I'm kind of calling out when I wrote one this last time. I did not do that.
Mm-hmm.
Look for those minutes.
Yeah.
They're public. They're able to be given to me. And again, there was language in there. Had I did that, had I got a copy of that, again, it would have saved me a little bit of embarrassment because there were questions that came up, right?
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, had I given them the copy of the last minutes, there's a lot more information in there that they would have had early on, which would have made their decision much easier.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, definitely. And you know what, at the end of the day, we are information providers, right? And if anything we can do, and you know, we don't always do it right either, but at the end of the day, we're learning too, right? I mean, so give your clients that opportunity to have that contingency, know what they're saying yes to, know that there are many restrictions within a condo, and each condo is different. Some don't allow you to park your car outside your garage. Imagine if you had 3 people in your family with 3 cars and you couldn't have one parked outside. Some don't allow, maybe you own a business, a landscape business, and you've got that big magnet on the side of your car. Some don't allow that, you know, so know what your clients are saying yes to, because you're obligating them to something. And if they don't have the information to make an informed decision, they can't.
Yep. And get smart about HOAs. I mean, again, when I say get smart, learn as much as you can, because they're not going away. We know that. In fact, some of the language, if you look at some of these bylaws and covenants, I mean, they look like the Old Testament. This thing is that thick, right? And again, they possibly can't absorb all of that information without your help, without your guidance, without the things that are important there. And so that's where spend the necessary time as you're showing condos. Make sure that you understand the differences between these condominium associations. And again, you're the professional. As you and I talk about, Trace, you got to be the pro in this, and you really need to understand that, so that you walk in with your eyes wide open.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, maybe there's an upcoming assessment for roofs. Maybe and also I always like my clients, especially, you know, you have young people buying, right? A lot of them buy condos. You buy a building that's 15, 20 years old. Well, how old's the roof on the house, and where are we at in replacement, and what's the plan for replacement? So those are good things to know. They're just good things to know. So any final thoughts, Doug?
Gosh, I don't know, other than, again, I just keep using that word listen and absorb and take it all in. Again, I can't reiterate that enough with know your product, know what you're selling. Again, your buyers deserve your best. They deserve your best. And so take the necessary time. If you don't understand what an HOA does, their function, have conversations with the president of that association. I've done that many times too, just to say, hey, give me a little bit of flavor for what folks are walking into if they belong to your association. So you can't ask enough questions. I'm just a guy that says the more questions that are asked, again, the better prepared you're going to be with dealing with your buyer. And likewise with your seller. Make sure that you ask a lot of questions as to, hey, what's going to come up in this development in the next 6 months, next year?
Right.
that as you're selling this, we want to make sure that people are aware of. So again, that just goes back to how well informed you keep your client. So that'd be my takeaway.
Well, good, good. Well, today's 10,000 is HOA 101. So thanks for playing a part of it. Doug, thanks for everything you've said and contributed, and the ways in which you're helping all of our new to industry agents become a Doug Hale Pro. So
I love it. Well, thanks.
anyway,
Tracy. Same
sounds
to you.
great.
It's great.
Sounds good. We'll see you next week. Thank you, everyone. Toodles.
Thanks,
Bye.
everybody.